Welcome to Dunedin, where the roads are ruled by rumbling engines and gasoline. This has been the status quo for some time, but is now being boldly challenged by a different form of transportation: electric vehicles. Dunedin has the highest uptake per capita in New Zealand of electric vehicles, with over 150 counted, from plug-in hybrids to completely battery-powered cars. It is due to the locals who are driving, educating, advocating and selling EVs that Dunedin is able to lead the charge, introducing new ways to think about how we use transportation in our daily lives. So what will happen if the EV revolution keeps growing? Can Dunedin fully adapt to a cleaner form of transportation? How might electric transport change the sights, sounds and smells we've been used to for so long? Follow along as I talk to some of those leading the charge in Dunedin to understand the possibility of a completely electric transportation system in our city. So much of the support and advocacy for EVs has come from the community of normal, everyday people who own EVs themselves. Dee West from Auckland and Pam McKinlay from Dunedin have joined forces as an almost unstoppable power team, spending a lot of their free time as messengers educating and promoting EVs to everyday people.
My name is Dee West. My husband and I own ChargeNet together.
My name's Pam McKinlay. I'm the co-convener of the Dunedin EV group, sort of like a Dunedin ambassador for electric vehicles.
Champion extraordinaire. One of the earliest adopters in the whole country.
Yeah, so my car's great for around Dunedin and I don't need to charge anywhere except home, but if I want to leave town, I get over that kill mob and I go, I might like to charge soon because I'd like to go to Timaru.
And it'd be nice if it didn't take 12 hours or 6 hours or whatever.
So having the rapid infrastructure in there, the rapid highway, is really, really super important.
Yeah, so having the infrastructure in means that it removes that fear. It's called range anxiety, and it's one of the major reasons people don't adopt EV is they're afraid that they might get stranded. And I mean, how many years have you been driving EV?
About 2.5.
2.5, yeah. I mean, and she's managed. How many times have you been stranded?
0. You have to change your behaviour a wee bit because you do have to stop and charge for half an hour. We've been doing talks all week at the library. People can find out every which way about a kilowatt, but they might want to know if they can put their pram in the leaf. I can tell them. But all those kind of practical things of how to manage your charging with a family. Those are the things that women want to know about as well.
Hello and welcome to Drive Electric Week.
We do have an amazing sisterhood in this movement, and it's across the country. And once we find out that we have EVs in common, there's a sorority of support, and we're nice to each other because we're all heading in the same direction, and we have common goals.
And there's some really nice men belonging to that sisterhood.
There's some lovely men in our sisterhood, the honorary sorority men.
Yeah, lovely, lovely people.
They are, these pioneers,
It's kind of like you buy a car and you end up with this extended family.
It's true.
It's true. It sounds weird. It's a bit of, sound like a cult, doesn't it?
We are a little culty.
So, here is New Zealand. We have the perfect environment for an EV transportation system because 80% of our electricity is produced using renewable, non-carbon creating resources such as wind turbines and hydro plants, which means zero emissions cars can run on pretty much guilt-free energy. As of last year, there were approximately 4,700,000 registered vehicles on our roads, and as of this year, around 3,500 or 0.02% of all road vehicles are now EVs. The trend so far suggests that the numbers of EVs on our roads will grow exponentially, which also will demand an expansion of infrastructure, services and charging stations over the length of the country. What is also very important for the success of EVs is to understand how they perform and are used in New Zealand from real experiences of Kiwis themselves. Ecologist Henrik Moller used this idea and co-created an initiative known as Flip the Fleet.
Flip the Fleet's it's what we call a citizen science project. It involves people who own electric vehicles telling us a bit about their car and share that information amongst other electric vehicle owners in New Zealand, or even more importantly, share it with those that haven't yet bought an electric vehicle but want to know about them. You can think of it as a kind of Fitbit for cars, if you like. There's a huge body of knowledge out there of people who are just getting on with life and have local knowledge and have learnt and experimented how to use cars. That very valuable knowledge is hardly ever captured and joined with the science side. And our citizen science panel tries to do that. Plug that in, and that's it done. We do a lot of calculations on the return on investment. How many dollars did they save last month by travelling in their car? We're also calculating the number of virtual trees you plant by running an electric vehicle. So you can get a visual impression of what contribution you're making to the environment.
Powering an EV is a quarter of the cost of fueling a petrol car. This is one of the reasons local businesses are starting to take on EVs into their fleets as investments in a clean environment, as well as reducing fueling and maintenance costs. Otago Polytechnic too is an early adopter under the leadership of CEO Phil Kerr.
Well, we've made the commitment to have our entire vehicle fleet either EV or hybrid by 2020. So that's only if we have to, we'll go to hybrid. I think all electric is absolutely the way to go for us. I think when you look at the values that Dunedin as a city espouses, I think it's an ideal city to marry up the notion of electric vehicle with a sustainable city, with a city that's a natural heritage city. It just all makes sense to me.
So finally, after decades of oil-based transportation, it is no longer impossible to envisage what that future could be like for Dunedin and its people.
Noise pollution in Dunedin is very high. It's always cars accelerating up hills or the override on trucks and whatnot going down hills. All of that will disappear.
You might be able to have a latte down in the Octagon without getting gassed. I would expect there to be fewer cars on the road too, and for them to be a lot quieter.
And people like them.
And they're just great
They are.
cars to drive.
They really are. People get like an emotional attachment to their EVs. Why not? If it's enjoyable and it's more fun and it's better for the planet and it's better for your pocket, then do it.
Got me.